Alright, so Secret Life of Walter Mitty ended. I had about an hour to kill between both movies. Walter Mitty got out at about 12:30. The next showing was for 47 Ronin, which was at 1:30. I borrowed my mom's truck for the day. Hopped in there, drove down about a block away to Culver's to grab some lunch. I hadn't been there in a long time, quite honestly. Oh, goddamn, I think the last time I was there, I might have been working in radio. Not that I don't like the place. Honestly, it's really good. But where it's at in Springfield is on an end of town that I'm never in. Well, that's technically not true. It's only a block away from the movie theater. But the movie theater is on an end of town where if I'm there, I'm only there because I'm seeing a movie. And if I'm there seeing a movie, I'm going to watch a flick and not eat at Culver's. If I'm going to eat anything, it's going to be like movie theater popcorn or candy or something, you know, whatever. I'm not there to go eat at a restaurant. So anyway, I went there, I had my lunch, pondered everything that I saw in Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and knew that the next movie that I went to go see was probably not going to be as good as The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And I was right, because the next movie I saw was fucking 47 Ronin, a fucking unique train wreck. This, along with The Host and After Earth, are like the three most uniquely bad movies I've seen all year long. Because this movie is so awful. I could barely refrain from watching it. Like, I wished to God I wasn't there seeing it by myself. I wish that, like, Dave and Brian were with me at this. This is a movie that you watch with friends. This is a movie you watch and wonder how the fuck did this movie not only get such a wide release, how the fuck did this thing cost $200 million goddamn dollars? I kind of miss the day, not kind of, I do miss the day when you would have like a super expensive fucking movie flop where the movie would be really, really goddamn bad, but you could at least see the money on the screen, you know? Like, you could at least see, like, well, okay, this movie's really goddamn overblown, and you can tell, you can see the budget right there on the goddamn screen. You know, like, okay, Heaven's Gate. Dear God, that looks like a big budget movie. Heaven's Gate, Waterworld, The Postman, you know, the post-apocalyptic, futuristic, like, fucking expensive, big budget, over-bloated movies. I miss when you could actually see the budget on screen. And every now and then that still happens. I mean, John Carter looked like it was, like, really, really expensive, but nothing about this movie seems like it should cost $200 million. This movie, it has special effects in it that look like fucking Sharknado. Alright, look, I'm not an expert on the story of this movie. I'm not an expert on the 47 Ronin. I'm not. So, I mean, I know the gist of it. I do. Certain references in the movie I certainly do get. But if I mess up anything during this, I'm sorry. But even if I do, this movie sucks. Where do I even goddamn fucking start? Okay, this movie is... They fucking... Someone dared them to combine Last Samurai with Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That's this fucking movie. This is the kind of fucking train wreck of a movie that people get giddy when they say that they were there seeing it in the theater. You know those kind of bad movies? Like a fucking Pluto Nash, where if that movie gets brought up and people are like, oh yeah, I was there. I saw that piece of garbage in the fucking theater. That's that with 47 Ronin. And I want to say, like, oh man, movies like this, bad movies like this only come along once in a lifetime. That's not true. While this movie's uniquely bad, one of them comes around like every fucking 6 months or so. In another 6 months, there's gonna be another stupefyingly awful movie like this. This movie is, you know what? If you really, really wished, for humor's sake alone, that you would get a sequel to The Last Airbender, you got it. You got it with 47 Ronin. This movie is to the story of the 47 Ronin what The Last Airbender is to the show Avatar: The Last Airbender. Because while certain things from the story are getting brought up and happen in the plot of this movie, there's no context to it. It's just fucking there. If you don't know the context to anything that's going on in this movie, you will think that it's just random as fuck that Scooby-Doo ghosts pop up halfway into the movie and then disappear as soon as they fucking appear. If you know what that is supposed to be, okay, then it doesn't make sense in context to how the movie's presented, but you understand it. It's like that with, like, Last Airbender, when something random in exposition would get explained, where there's no reason it really got brought up, even though it kinda had to do with the TV show. It's sort of like that with this movie. And the movie's not even that long. I mean, it's under 2 hours. If there's a nice thing I can say about it, really, it went by pretty quick. I checked my watch a lot during this movie because describing this movie is a lot of fun. It is. Describing the entire mess of a movie that this is fun to describe. And it would be fun to watch this movie with other people. When you're sitting there alone in a theater after you've watched a movie that you really loved, it was pretty miserable sitting through this. But I will say this. The few times that I checked my watch, and I was scared that I would check my watch and the movie would only have been on for like 15 or 20 minutes, you know. That really wasn't the case. When I checked my clock, it had been on for like 45 minutes. I mean, it did kind of go by at a decent pace. It didn't feel like over long or anything like that, but that's because everything in this movie is so... The movie opens with them fighting the mascot from Big Mix cereal. Let me just put that out there for you. The movie starts with the Ronin fighting Big Mix, CGI Big Mix, that looks no different than Sharktopus. Again, CGI has ruined big budget flops for me, because the effects work in this look no goddamn different than something you'd see from the Asylum. They really don't. When fucking Big Mix is trailing through the goddamn fields with horses getting caught on him, and the scene is shot so fucking absurd, you can't tell what character... Okay, Keanu Reeves has his goddamn samurai sword, cuts through Big Mix, and it seems like Big Mix jumped over him, and Keanu Reeves just kind of sliced him in half with the sword. That's not really what happened, because it cuts to some other stuff, and then it cuts back, and suddenly Keanu Reeves is under Big Mix, as Big Mix is just fucking running through the woods. I don't know how that fucking happened. I didn't know he got stuck on him, along with CGI horses. The movie is the story of the 47 Ronin. Their master gets possessed, and he's turned into a zombie. He's turned into a zombie, and then he goes to assassinate the villain, Kira, but he gets caught, but he's clearly possessed. You can tell because he looks like a zombie. Clearly somebody fucked with this guy to make him try to kill Kira. But there's this, like, Goldfinger fucking high priest who's there, who at the drop of a hat will sentence you to death. You could be jaywalking, he will sentence you to death. So he sentences the master to death. But he wants to give him an honorable death, so he's got to, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the word. I know there's a term for this, but you know what I mean. He gives him the honorable death, like that, which really... They make a really big deal, and I know, but like they make a really big deal about how he's like doing it himself, but then he still gets his head chopped off by another guy. So I'll go get more into that later, but the opening narration of this is great, because the opening narration of this thing talks about how this is an authentic story of old Japan. This is strictly old Japan we're talking about here. Old Japan, old Japan, old Japan. They use that word over and over and over again for a movie about a white guy where everybody is speaking fluent English. And I know, this is hardly the first movie that's in old Japan or any other country where they're speaking perfectly fluent English. I know. It feels weird harping on that in this when movies have been doing that for 100 years. But like I said in the other video, sometimes evolution of film is a good thing. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. Bad in the sense that Big Mix looks no different than Crocosaurus. Good in that this movie shouldn't have been in English, starring a white guy as a half-breed. A character specifically made up for this movie. Really? Like, I know he's in it just to bring in a wider audience, which didn't work. This movie's a $200 million fucking flop. So they inserted Keanu Reeves into this movie, and it benefited nothing. It didn't benefit the story. It didn't benefit the characters, the action, anything. It certainly didn't benefit the Oscars. The Oscars. The box office. It certainly didn't benefit that. So you pointlessly fucked up your own movie. For no reason. For no benefits. You just fucked your movie. And you have nothing to show for it. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. Other than you made a huge disaster that I will totally watch again. When this thing comes on video, I'm getting the boys together. We're gonna watch this movie and laugh our asses off at this goddamn thing. Keanu Reeves barely has anything to do with this movie. He's a supporting character. The main character in this movie is Oishi, the character of Oishi, who's played by Haruyuki Sanada? Is that it? He's an actor I like. When I see him pop up and stuff, he's usually playing a badass. And he's good in this. He could easily carry this movie. If you were to chop the Keanu Reeves scenes out of this movie, which would not be hard, I'm not saying this movie would be good. It would probably still be kind of a mess in terms of its plotting. It would be better because the character of Oishi here is a great character in this movie. He's at least charismatic. He at least looks the part. He at least looks like a badass. Why couldn't this guy have carried this movie? You needed Keanu Reeves in here to fuck shit up? And look, I'm not like this huge Keanu Reeves hater. Keanu Reeves, like, he can be good. He really can. In this movie, he does not look like a samurai in this movie. He looks like if Johnny Utah just became Patrick Swayze. That's what he looks like in this goddamn fucking thing. This is classic miscast Keanu Reeves. Up there with fucking Dracula or Much Ado About Nothing. This is miscast Keanu Reeves. And I don't even want to say that Keanu Reeves is strictly just a one-note actor, because, I mean, of course he is good at playing the Keanu Reeves type parts, the Neos, the Teds, the Johnny Utahs, Speed. He's good. I think he pulls off those parts just fine. He really does. He carries those movies for me. But I have seen him act outside of his box where he's done perfectly well. Probably the best performance I've seen him give was in The Gift. He was a redneck piece of shit in that movie. A fucking sociopath. Just white trash asshole. So unlike a normal Keanu Reeves role. I mean, that was acting far outside of his comfort zone. And he, dear God, pulled that part off. He was actually kind of creepy in that movie. He looked evil in that flick. With the beard, the eyes, he has a good bad guy look to him. He does. He really does. I think he's kind of underrated in that regard, like, because he does, when he plays a bad guy, he looks the part. Much Ado About Nothing, he was miscast. He wasn't very good in that movie, but if you just look at him in that, he looks like he could play a villain in a movie where he's not quoting Shakespeare. This movie wasn't very good, but he was alright in The Watcher. That movie's not as horrible as it was perceived to be when it came out, but it's not great. So he can act outside his comfort zone. This movie's not that. This was like, I shit you not, this was like watching a big budget movie being Godfrey Hoed. It looked like, I don't know, if a studio movie decided to do a Godfrey Ho film, that's kind of what this feels like. Because Keanu Reeves, I don't know if this is true. Probably not, but this is a really poorly made movie. Like seriously, this is a $200 million budget movie where everything looks like it was shot within a square mile of each other. The sets look no more authentic than a fucking Renaissance festival. Fuck! Keanu Reeves looked like he was Pierre Kirby'd into this goddamn movie. 90% of his scenes, he's not sharing the frame with anybody. There are whole sequences that he's in with several other characters where every time it shows Keanu Reeves, one, he doesn't say anything. He's just standing there blankly reacting. And also, no one is standing next to him. He's just not in the shot. Or no one else is in the shot with him. It looks like he was just Richard Harrison into this fucking movie. That's seriously what it looks like. It looks like they needed a white guy to be in this movie. So let's put Keanu Reeves in here and give him a B plot, which is this love story with a princess, and they have no chemistry together because they're barely in the movie together. Like, their dialogue is no more fucking romantic or poetic than something in fucking Twilight. Only they really only have 2 or 3 scenes together in it, and I'm supposed to buy that they're in love with each other. No, not fucking buying it. And the posters for this goddamn thing dear God, so misleading. The poster for this goddamn movie, one, shows the main character in it nowhere in the advertisements or the poster of this thing. The poster of this thing shows big Keanu Reeves wielding a sword, and then it's also got guy with skeleton makeup on his face who seriously is intricate to this movie as the blind nun was in fucking Devil Inside. That's how fucking intricate that guy is. That guy comes into it when, like, they snook onto the sets of the 3rd fucking Pirates movie. That's when he comes into it. And Keanu Reeves, like, okay, maybe he wasn't necessarily, like, just randomly spliced into every scene in this goddamn movie, because he's not the only person that feels like that with. Like, there's a horrible special effect in this movie of a fox, which apparently real foxes don't exist anymore because they had to create one with a computer. It's just fucking standing there and looks at the camera and walks off. That's it. They needed CGI for that. Yeah, okay, I'm buying that shit. But not only that, apparently, like, in their $200 million budget, they only had enough fucking money to use that CGI fox once, because they reused that same shot several times in the movie. Not only that, they reused that same effect of the fox, but they put in a different background. It's the same special effect, they just put in a different background in one of the shots. Wow! $200 million well spent. This movie had to CGI a tall guy. There's a part where Keanu Reeves is fighting a brute, and they CGI'd him. Because you couldn't have just hired an actor and put sloth makeup on him. No, that's way too hard. Let's make a CGI hunchback who's fighting Keanu Reeves. Let's purposefully make our movie look worse. For no reason. For no reason. some of the special effects in this movie are so bad that they're scary. There's one part where they happen upon a temple of Buddhist monks with CGI snake faces. It's the scariest thing I've ever seen, unintentionally so. The scariest, weirdest thing I've seen since, like, Hugh Grant in Yellowface and Cloud Atlas. Like, I was in the theater, and I think at that point I was almost broke. Like, I just went like, bah! The second you see this, I can't even describe it. CGI snake face with weird separated snake eyes on the face of a monk. Like, you couldn't have just... I don't know. I don't know what they could have really done here, but there had to have been an alternative that didn't look like that. And like, even the way some of the characters' names are pronounced sound really weird. Like, when, like, the Porkins of the group dies, and then they give his sword to Keanu Reeves, and they say, Basho wanted you to have this, but it sounds like he said Bashful. I'm in the theater like, his name's Bashful? The 47 Dwarves? What the fuck is with this movie? And there's ghosts. An hour into the movie, like, okay, I know what the ghosts are supposed to be, but if you don't know what the ghosts are supposed to be, it just looks like really random where suddenly Scooby-Doo ghosts pop up for no reason an hour into this movie just to go, ooh, boogity 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 boo, and then leave. That's it. That's it. And then one part, the witch lady has fucking CGI pigtails that are using chopsticks to feed herself sushi. Floating CGI pigtails feeding her sushi. And trying to feed other people sushi. Oh god, and CGI snake faces. And I love the scene at the end where they're crashing the wedding, the 47 Ronin are, to like get their revenge on the people that had their master killed. Because it seems like as long as the people that they're killing know that what they're doing is for stealth reasons, they will be perfectly quiet and silent as they're getting killed. When they grab the guy and throw him off the cliff, he makes no noise. He doesn't scream at all because he must know that they're being really stealth about their attack. So really, it's very nice of these people to die quietly. Otherwise, it completely would have blown their cover. So it was nice of these people to kind of give them a bone, like when they're getting shot with arrows, like getting thrown off of cliffs. Because the people don't start screaming until their cover is blown. Because at that point, well, then you don't have to help them out by dying stealthily. Then you can scream. Then it's okay. And this asshole high priest, who just sentences everybody to death, I don't know why they don't just leave. He sentences zombie dude to death at the beginning, but it never really seems like he's at all restrained, like at all. Like in the morning, he just comes out of his house and dies. Like it seems like he probably should have escaped. Same thing at the end, when the 47 Ronin are sentenced to death. The fucking, first of all, if they really wanted revenge, the way that this movie is told, why didn't they just cut that fat fuck high priest's head off? That really should have happened. It's really this guy's fault that the other dude fucking died. You don't sentence a zombie to death. It's not the zombie's fault. Go after the person who turned him into a zombie. Come on, old Japan. So like, yeah, why didn't they go after the high priest guy? Like, I know the story, whatnot. I'm just strictly talking about how this movie is told. Because the way that this movie is told, it makes no goddamn sense. Oops, dead battery. Now, where was I? It's like I've been talking about movies for so long. Why did the battery die? So anyway, then at the end, when they got their revenge by going against the high priest's order, who only seems like just a big fat guy who's being carried around just to be a dick to people. So he says, like, you should really be... You should be tried as criminals, but I'm gonna do you a favor. Instead, you can die like honorable samurai. Thanks, ass. So, I don't know why they don't just leave. why they do, the movie doesn't do a good job of being a self-contained story. It really doesn't, because it just sort of seems like something is, even though I know it's not, because I know how the story ends, but the way it's being told is like, it really seems like they're perfectly content with doing this, like, but it doesn't feel like it should be. That's how poorly written this movie is. It seems like, wow, they really should, like, try escaping, or try killing the guy who sentenced their master to death, or something like that. I don't know. This movie is a colossal goddamn train wreck. It is. If you love going to go see movies that are just spectacularly, originally bad, man, pay $5, go catch a matinee of this, but bring your friends. Bring friends. Don't sit through it by yourself. Don't do that. When this movie ended, I sent, like, a text to, like, Brian and Dave, all these people, just basically telling them everything I've told you about it, from Big Mix Monster to Snake Monks, Ghosts, all of this shit. And the timing of the movie, which is weird, like when Oishi at the beginning, his master is killed, and then Oishi gets thrown in a dungeon for a year. A year. You know it's a year because it cuts to black and says 1 year later, and then cuts back, and he's just got like a little bit of a beard. It really only seems like he's been down there for a week. Like, it would have been like if in, like, Old Boy, they throw him in a room and it says 15 years later, and comes back and he leaves. Like, that's, what? Like, okay, yeah, I'm buying that he was down there for a year. I totally buy this. So I texted them. Brian writes back, like, I need to see this. I wrote to, like, Ed, who's like, you gotta fucking see this movie. If you missed Mortal Kombat Annihilation when that came out in theater, go see this. The acting and the dialogue's about the goddamn same in these goddamn things. Fuck me. Fucking CGI dragon lady at the end of it, which doesn't matter if she turns into a dragon or not, because being stabbed is still her weakness. And I just straight up had to call Jillian when it was over. I'm like, you believe the shit I just sat through. Like, alright, sit down. At first, she didn't really want to hear it, because she's not feeling very well. She was sick. She was pretty sick when I called her. As soon as the words Kellogg's Big Mix Monster came out of my mouth, with its CGI 8 eyes that looked like something from Eight-Legged Freaks, then she was laughing her ass off. She's like, I've got to see this movie. I've got to go see this. Oh, yeah. If you get giddy and get a hard-on over bad movies like this, like those of us in our group do, at some point see this. Do not pay full price for this movie. Catch, like, a goddamn cheap-ass screening, or fuck, just wait till it comes on video, get some booze, some weed, your friends together. Oh, sit through this thing and howl your goddamn ass off at it. Holy shit, this movie is bad. This movie is so bad. Ugh. Do I even have anything else about this goddamn thing? Have I convinced you enough how spectacularly bad 47 Ronin is? Ho ho! Maybe I only hated it because I saw it at 1:30 in the afternoon. Okay. Alright, so I take a break. I come back with the trailers. And as for the trailers, what do you think I got? I got fucking Lone Survivor. Of course I did. You know what, at least they're nice enough to make that the first trailer. Because, dear God, with that movie, it's the first goddamn fucking trailer that I've seen where I will leave the theater when that trailer pops up. I will. I will use the restroom if I don't have to. If I don't have to take a shit, I will tie a string around to a piece of pizza, jam it down my throat, reach up my ass, pull out the string in the pizza just to make myself have to take a shit, so I don't have to see that trailer again. Ugh, and it doesn't even... It's just they're beating you over the head with that goddamn fucking movie. Like, they're trying to guilt trip you into going to see what, honestly, if they weren't hammering me in the head with it, would just look like a mediocre war movie. I don't know, like, hell, it might not even be that bad of a movie. I'm just fucking sick of the guilt trip ass trailer for it. So yeah, I will go to the arcade to play a game. I will go to the concession stand. I will take a non-shit just to not see that fucking trailer again. And I go to movies every week. I get sick of certain trailers all the time. But the fact that this one is not only one that I get every week, but it's also 5 or 6 minutes long. No joke. It's 5 or 6 minutes long. I can go to the arcade, play a game, come back, and the trailer will just be ending. That makes it just more goddamn frustrating. Other than that, I got Vampire Academy. It looks like Mean Girls crossed with fucking Mortal Instruments. No. Marked. I saw so many goddamn trailers yesterday. I can't understand my own notes. What has the word marked in it that's coming out? Shit. I fucked myself in my own goddamn notes. I can't think of it off the top of my head. What am I talking about right here? Okay, well, I got Need for Speed. That movie that's selling me Jesse Pinkman as an action hero. You know, he's kind of got the voice for it. He's got a good gravelly voice. Yeah, science, bitch! He's got a gravelly voice for an action guy. He does. He's not imposing or intimidating in any goddamn way, shape, or form. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that could be due to the fact that he's like 4'5", or that I, week after week, saw emo-ass Jesse Pinkman blubbering like a schoolboy week after week on Breaking Bad. The movie, it looks like the poor man's Fast and the Furious, which that's, wow. It's got Michael Keaton in it, so I'm kind of a mark for Michael Keaton, so, no, not kind of, I will see a fucking Michael Keaton movie. I gotta be there to support Michael Keaton movies. He's in that, and is that, the trailer's got some weird song on it, too, like it's some kind of douchebag broski version of Donkashane. Like, I don't know, that movie looks like shit. Pompeii, is that Paul W.S. Anderson? It looks like Paul W.S. Anderson, because it looks like, let's make 300, but cross it with Dante's Peak. Pompeii in 3D. Of course it's starring the bastard. Of course Jon Snow is in it, because you can't make a medieval fantasy movie anymore without a cast member from Game of Thrones in it. Look at 300 Rise of the Empire. Look at this movie. You just can't fucking do it. So that movie looks like a Paul W.S. Anderson movie about Pompeii. That's it. Final thoughts on 47 Ronin. What more do I have to goddamn say about it? It is the train wreck that you've read about. Dear God, is it the train wreck that you fucking read about. This movie is, through and through, from beginning to end, a disaster. And I wish, other than, like, yeah, I wish this movie came out like 20 years ago. Other than for special effects reasons, but also because everyone, I'm guilty of this too, I know, everyone has a short attention span when it comes to movies now, whether it's a good movie, whether it's a bad movie. It's very rare to see something now that feels like it'll stand the test of time, because so many movies come out, so many movies, that you can love a movie but it could escape your memory after a little while. Maybe not your memory, it's not like you'll forget it, but you'll be fixated on something else, you know. Movies just have a very short shelf life or attention span now. There's just so many of them, and you know, it's a YouTube generation. You know, things just get old fast. A bad movie like this should be talked about for years. For years and years and years, a bad movie like this should be talked about. It probably won't. It probably won't. Like, I said this when The Host came out. I was like, this is a horrible movie that should be talked about as much as fucking Battlefield Earth, Batman and Robin, all these fucking movies. And it's not. It just kind of came and went. You know, every now and then people still talk about how much Airbender sucked. People still talk about the John Carter disaster. The John Carter disaster, it seems to usually be more about the budget and the box office more than the actual movie. Airbender actually made its fucking money back. It's just a horrible goddamn fucking movie. This movie, I think I could be wrong. I hope that this is the kind of bad movie that's talked about for years and years, but this day and age, probably not. But that's why you should go see it. That's why you should go see it and support uniquely bad movies still being in the fucking zeitgeist. Still being fucking talked about. Because this movie's a $200 million goddamn flop. This movie's gonna lose so much fucking money. It's a tank, man. This movie fucking tanked ass. And that should be in the news. We need to be talking about the glorious, horrible experience that is 47 Ronin. Okay, alright, so I need to rest my voice. I really need to rest my voice. It's already starting to get gravelly. Because I gotta talk about Grudge Match.